Hi there, Kylie from Strong and Steady Canines, and I'm super duper excited to have Michelle with me. Michelle has created a brand of dog bed that is safe and therapeutically beneficial for our dogs. And I'm super duper excited because I've been waiting a very long time. I've been pestering you for a while. So, welcome, Michelle.
Thank you very much. No, it's great to
Um,
be here.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all that you do for the health of dogs, and particularly in bedding that can be really quite overlooked. And there were things that I didn't even know. I've been following you for probably about 4 years since when I bought the bed, and I bought the bed pretty quickly actually after I started seeing your content because I'm like, what do you mean beds are toxic? And so I'm like, well, I don't want a toxic, bed for my dog. So that's why, I got my Henry Hottie beds that were before your rebrand into stand beds, and I just love them. The dogs love them. They are pretty much always constantly on them. So it's either being used by like both dogs or one dog, but pretty much like, they've got other beds, they've got mattresses, they've got couch, they've got, our own personal beds, but they love their Henry Hottie beds. So yeah, I just really, really am excited to talk about bedding.
Well, it's a real, as you said, it's very overlooked. It's kind of like a set and forget, I think. When you get a dog, you want it to have somewhere that it will choose to sleep, that you don't have to worry about, and it's just there. But the choice you make can either, really benefit them like over the years, or it can just be something that you don't have to think about again, and maybe change once a year or every 2 years or whatever when you see a different style. But I think the market is changing considerably, but it is still an unregulated industry. So there are many, many claims to do with pet beds on the market that are simply not true and are quite detrimental to the health of the dog.
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely a discussion that it's long overdue. I started talking about it. Oh gosh, when did we start? I think it's 13 years this year since I made the first bed,
Yeah,
and
wow.
yeah, we've been going for a while. So thousands and thousands of dogs and cats. We've had horses or foals, goats, pigs, you name it. We've had a lot that have
Oh,
slept on
wow.
beds over the years. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, let's go into why stand beds are different to the ones that are at the pet shop. And it's kind of like similar to buying food at the pet shop where we need to be more aware about what is included in the products. And because, like you mentioned, a lot of not only in our country in Australia, in many other countries that the industry is very unregulated. They're putting lots of things in, our dog's food that it's like, well, you don't, like I think one thing I saw was antifreeze. I'm like, why would you put antifreeze in dog food when that's used for a car? Like, and I think similarly, like bedding is something that you're like, oh, just give them a comfy little cushion. And yeah, sure, they might prefer the floor. But I just really like having uh, a bed that is for them that will, you know, elevate their health rather than, and of course they choose if they want to use it or not. But yeah, going back to the fact is like, I think we need to be more aware of what's in the pet shop. I think we need to understand, particularly in bedding, that yeah, it's, they can be quite costly. But I think it's something that should be on your wish list and to budget for. If you're getting a dog or if you want to upgrade your bed, think that, nowadays it's not only the quality, we're such a consumeristic society that we just buy the cheapest thing and replace it. But I've had my stand beds for my Henry Hottie beds for, like the 4 years. I might change them in a year or two and then, get another one, but like there's no wear or tear on them. Like there's no physical sign of it being, the dogs don't try and eat it. and they look like they're in really good condition. So yeah, like, but the thing is, it's like I this is Freya. Say
Hey,
hi.
Fran.
So yeah, I just think it's something that is worthwhile. I want to encourage people that, of course, like, budgeting is really hard, but to consider, waiting a bit longer, saving your money up, and buying a bed that is that is just so much better off for your dog. So yeah, so let's go into, what is in your beds that are not in other beds, and yeah,
Well, I think that's
over to you.
it's really important. It's usually, when you're marketing a product, you talk about what is in it and what you're getting for your dollar. What makes ours so unique and beneficial, apart from the therapeutic benefit, is actually what isn't in the bed. So there's two sides to a stand pet bed. And that is the patented therapeutic benefit. So we're the only patented therapeutic pet bed in the world. It took 5 years to achieve a patent,
Wow.
and we're also certified non-toxic. So both are essential for the health and well-being of the dog, and they make up what the bed is. Whereas in the market today for pet bedding, it's all those keywords that people use, like orthopedic. And in Australia, there is no testing, orthopedic testing for pet beds. So I
They don't
often,
drop like a bowling ball and test the bounce in the bed like they do for the human ones. They don't
none
do
of
that for
that.
dogs.
What has happened is that because foam is being used for 99% of pet beds, and the foam is tested, they're taking those test results and applying them to the pet bed. But as we know, dogs and humans are different. So our animals have different requirements. What would be considered safe, um, chemical wise, in a human bed is going to be very different for a dog or a cat bed, because they metabolize those toxins very differently to us. And we can see already, they've have much shorter lives these days than they did 20 years ago. And the liver burden today is enormous, because it's not just what they're eating, what they're sleeping on, it's what they're walking on outside, it's what they're being groomed with, all that kind of stuff. So and their medications, over vaccination, all of those things. So that it all takes its toll on the liver eventually. And I think that's what we see more than ever. When it comes to pet beds, because the dog's body is at rest, and it's in that restorative state while they're sleeping. So we know when they're achieving REM, because that's when they're chasing rabbits in their sleep. And all the healing is getting done at that point. It's great to see. With our beds, the way they've been designed, it is to achieve that REM quicker and a little bit longer. So really keep them in that deep sleep. We're talking minutes, but for them it is minutes over several times,
Yeah.
during their sleeping period. So with a normal, say, a foam pet bed, they contain certain chemicals, which are required to make the foam. There's binders, there's resins, there's flame retardants, there's all those sort of things that is needed to make the foam. But what happens is those chemicals in the binders and the resins and things like that, and the formaldehyde and the flame retardant, they release what's called off gases. So those off gases, they escape the foam and they just float out into the atmosphere. Like you can imagine a vapor, vapors that come off whatever. That's what it's like. We don't see it. For the most part, we can't smell it, but they are released into the air. So it's not just the dog that's being affected by this, it's the human also, because they
Yeah.
fill the room. But unfortunately for our dogs, because their sense of smell is so great, as those vapors are released from a foam, and particularly memory foam, if there's one thing I could ask people, it's to please steer clear of memory foam for your pets and for yourselves. But as those vapors are being released, the animals inhale them, uh, depending on what fabric cover is on the bed. So most companies choose a nylon or a polyester, and most do treat that with flame retardant. The dyes themselves can be highly toxic, and because our dogs like to lick, they'll lick the fabric, and of course they're then ingesting. This is very true for water repellent and waterproof beds. So to make them waterproof and water repellent requires a product or a chemical called fluorocarbon. And fluorocarbon is in anything. If you have a jacket that is water repellent or waterproof.
This would have it.
Okay. Well, what happens there is when it rains, as you know, the rain will hit the jacket, little water droplets form, and it runs off. When those water droplets form, if we look at a pet bed, your dog's just come back from the beach or it's had a bath and it runs in and jumps on its bed, its waterproof or water repellent bed, and it's dripping. The little water droplets are there on the bed. They absorb the fluorocarbons through the fabric and create little polymers in the water droplets. They're basically plastic. It's melamine. But what happens is that those water droplets then stick to the dog's coat, and the dog will groom itself, and then it's ingesting that melamine. So, and that bioaccumulates, so it stores in the brain, the body fat. And when you've got a perfect storm, whether their diet's not well, they're over medicated, whatever it may be, it will then go right and switch on the cells that we definitely don't want switched on, such as cancer and things like that. So with our bed, there's nothing like that. We actually do have coming out, hopefully by the end of this year, a very new and improved water repellent fabric that is designed without the use of fluorocarbon. So it's the only one in the world.
Wow.
We hope to be
That's
using.
pretty cool science-wise.
It's amazing. It's great. And it's great to know that there are companies out there that are trying to make a difference like that, whether it be for the environment, even though it might just be that the animals are benefiting. They mightn't have been the reason for that technology, but they're benefiting from it anyway. We are. So with our beds, they don't contain any of those chemicals I mentioned earlier. They are self-extinguishing. So if there was a fire, we don't need flame retardant in our bed. They just won't burn. And they are made out of a type of polyester, but not your standard polyester. So their little fibers are hollow inside. They all connect within the mattress. They're like, you can't even see this. They're so tiny. But what they do is when they absorb the body heat of the dog, it then travels all throughout the bed. It reaches a species appropriate temperature, which is part of our patent. And then once it reaches that, any excess dissipates into the atmosphere. But what it does is it will help the animal thermoregulate. So, which is really important because our animals would usually, if they were with a pack, they would all lie together to keep warm, or they'd lie in direct sunlight. Well, most dogs these days are single dogs and stay inside the house because that's where they like to be.
My dogs always prefer couch to going outside. Always. Yes. Even if the back door's constantly open, they will be on the couch.
That's it. Well, it's where we are. They're safe. They know it. It's comfy. So it's really important for me anyway, with the bed that has been designed, that is Stan Pet Beds, that it is incredibly safe for the animals, so that when they are in that period of REM, their body is actually able to heal and rejuvenate, so that they're maintaining great cognitive function. They're maintaining good mobility, and in effect, it really does slow down the aging process, because if they've got inflammation, which they all do develop at some stage of their life, but if they have inflammation, the application of the species appropriate warmth in the bed does help reduce the pain that they would be feeling from that inflammation. So When they are in that deep sleep, the brain releases proteins into the bloodstream that help with repair, um, and replacing of cells and things like that. So it's more than a pet bed. It's a bit of a pet bed with purpose.
Yeah.
And
And I
yeah,
need anything to be functional. We've got to, I'm not one to think that, let's just get something because it looks good. Like I'm a very functional person. And I mean, obviously your beds are gorgeous. But also obviously for me, the most important thing is its functionality. And, I think the two things that, that tick my boxes is that non-toxic, because like I said before, I did not know that there was so much potential toxins in dog beds. I would have bought cheaper beds until I'm like, oh, actually, now I understand how those products are made, and I don't want that for my dog. And also, I think just the therapeutic benefits. Again, it's a type of therapy that you're able to provide for your dog quite passively, because obviously you don't, they have it when they're sleeping and they just lie on it and there's no kind of active treatment. But the bed in itself is a way of treating your dog. So can you tell me, Michelle, like before you told me about the benefits of, how dogs using it, how they improve in their function?
so when I first made the beds years ago, the first feedback to come to me that then just kept continuing and continuing was from customers saying that their dog's mobility had improved. So of a morning it would get up where it would take, quite a bit of time to stretch it out and to get moving, it would be up and out. And they would say to me, "What's in these beds?" And I'd be like, well, just the fibers. And and then it really, the more we looked into it, it was like, well, hang on a second. And we're putting that down to the fact that the thermoregulating properties, so it's the fibers are classed as what's called thermostatic. So it reflects a temperature back to the dog, back to the user. That's the difference between our beds and foam beds as well. So you the function of the bed is to address the things that will help the body, repair, as we said earlier, overnight, but also to keep it in a state of let's go, because that's how dogs are. They can go from 0 to 100, very, very quickly. So you don't want the tendons and the ligaments and the muscles and the joints cold and stiff of a morning. You want
Mm.
them, supple and ready to move. And that's what the beds do. So that's what they're designed to do. You'll find with the dogs, you mentioned before, that they'll sleep on the couch and the floor. As they age, or depending on their activity level, you'll find that they'll seek the bed out even more. They might even have a treatment and then jump on the bed for a good snooze. That is extending the treatment as well, the benefit of what they've just either had done to them, or if they've had some hydrotherapy or something like that. So and I've gone off on a tangent, and I told you I would.
No, no, that's okay. Look, I just want to. Sorry, that's our Can you see Kiba?
Yeah.
Kiba, Baba. And the thing is, like, my dogs. Yeah, like pretty much at the moment I'm only walking Kiba because Freya just has very small walks because of she had her TPLO, and he always sits on the Henry Hottie, like on his stand bed. So yeah, like it makes sense that yeah, he is actively seeking that out. And my dogs, I bought the beds when 4 or 5 years ago, and that was when Kiba was 7 and Freya was 8, and now it's Kiba that's 8 and Freya that's 12. And yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think my dogs are seeking out the Henry Hottie. Well, sorry, I keep calling it Henry
So
Hottie.
no, they were Henry
Um,
Hottie. So yeah, no, that's fine. It's
in bed. So tell me why the rebrand? Do you want to just quickly just mention because yeah, just to not confuse people, that the Henry Hottie and the stand bed is the same, but you renamed it. Do you want to talk about that?
yeah. So Henry Hottie was actually inspired by my cat Henry, 15, 16 years ago when I made the first bed. It took a few years before I formally commercialized the product by actually selling it, because I'd just make it for people who asked me. But then it started to become popular. So I thought, well, hang on, maybe I should make these. So, and Henry was a sick cat that I had and didn't sleep and all that kind of thing. So, which we discussed earlier. And it was when I made him a bed using these fibers that he slept for 20 hours for the first time in years. He just slept the whole
Yeah, you
time.
just brought the bed home and he just lay on it and didn't get up for a while because he was resting so so
Yeah,
contently.
it was amazing. So, and I had made beds, different samples to try on him with all different fillings over the time, but nothing had that result. So and over the years, we've been known for Henry Hottie for, gosh, was it at least 10 years, I think. And then after that long, I did get a little bit of burnout. I was a little bit tired and needed a bit of a break. And this is a business that I've never advertised, so it's grown through word of mouth, some social media posts and things like that, recommendations from vets, canine physios and rehab specialists and massage therapists. So a lot of the times it was being, referred by professionals in the industry. Then I had no idea that it was being talked about. So after I had a little bit of a break, during that break period, actually, my soul dog, Stanley, he sadly succumbed to illness and he passed away. I actually dreamt about him last night, so it's funny to be talking about him now, only the second time. And so, yeah, I was very grateful that I had that time with him. But when I looked at the beds and how much they had changed over the years and how the focus had shifted, the cat beds, which we started with, we were a cat bed to start with, for 8 of those 10 years, we were canine focused. And then as we got closer to the 10 years, I started to focus on senior dogs and dogs that were in rehab, things like that. So, post-operative care beds and, what are they recovering on at home, especially if they're contained? So all those sorts of questions I was researching and looking for answers. And so I thought, well, we are pretty much a dog bed. The new revised cat bed will be coming out in a few months, but we are pretty much a dog bed company. And when Stan passed, I wanted to honour him. And then a friend said to me when we were driving, she said, "You know what STAN stands for?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "Safe, Therapeutic, Australian, Non-Toxic. Everything you are."
Oh, amazing.
And I was
Yep.
like, "That's it."
What you stand
So
for. Love it.
yeah, so that's what made it Stan Pet Beds. And yeah, so it's great. He'll be remembered forever.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, so do you want to, was it a nice dream? Was it a comforting dream? Because sometimes, when you think of people that have passed or animals that have passed, was it nice to see him?
It was actually
Yeah.
picking up.
Oh,
He was with other Groodles, which is his breed. He was with 3 others up on the side of a mountain track that they were walking up, and he
yeah.
stopped and looked at me, and he was very happy, and he was mobile and, yeah, very youthful.
Oh,
So,
that's
um,
very reassuring, isn't it? Like, so with the other three Groodles, have they passed as well? Have they crossed the Rainbow Bridge? So,
I don't know the others. He was just with
oh,
them.
okay. Oh, that's
So
interesting. Maybe, yeah, maybe he found a new pack and he's just telling Mama, I'm okay. It's sweet.
yeah, I think
That's
I see him around all the time. There's just little
yeah,
things that I see. So I'm sure he's up there, but he's certainly inspired. Because he was one who, when we would go for walks, he would come home and he would jump straight on his bed for about 15 minutes before dinner. And
yeah.
I'd watch him, and he'd lay one way for a while and then he would turn over like he was, cooking on both sides kind of thing. And then he'd be up and have dinner. And I'd love seeing his appreciation and understanding for what was happening in that
Yeah,
bed. Even if he didn't truly understand
yeah,
you know, the mechanics of it, he felt the benefit of it. So it was
yeah.
important to him to have his bed, and he slept on that bed all the time.
Oh, that's amazing. I like it is just yeah, it's really emphasize, I think, for me, is just the ability of a bed to be therapeutic.
Mm,
Because often we think the rest in itself is therapeutic, and yet this this thing that we, just kind of, buy once and not think of again, know that actually it's actively healing your dog. Like it's just another tool in your toolkit that you can use to help senior and arthritic dogs just feel better and move better. And, and obviously, yeah, which is all, that, Stronger City Canines is about, is just helping senior and arthritic dogs just move better and feel better. And I wanted to go through, so you've got a couple of different styles of bed. Would you like to just quickly go through the different types of bed and how they differ?
Mhm. So we have what we call the active bed. So that is for the young active dog who might be a working dog. It could be a performance dog, or just a crazy young dog who plays hard. So that bed is a little firmer. It's not as thick as our senior bed, and it's really designed to keep, like, pretty much to help the muscles and the joints cool down slowly. So it's not a quick, active to the body cools off that quickly. That then if they did get up again, you have the risk of things snapping and tearing and so forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very, very slow cool down, you could say. Then we have our senior bed. So I put a lot into this senior bed over the time in development, because Stanley was a senior. He was 12 and a half when he passed, which was far too young, but he was a senior, and it was a really great thing for me to age with him, insofar as, to really monitor the changes that were taking place in him. Now, he was a raw fed dog. I don't vaccinate after their puppy vaccines. I don't use chemical flea and tick. I treat naturally as best as I can, because outside the home they're facing a lot of exposure to chemicals and so forth, just even walking around the neighbourhood. So I keep their life as close to natural as possible. But you can't prevent their aging. That's just going to happen. And as he aged, when he was 11, he was diagnosed with hip dysplasia, and he was the oldest dog that had come into the clinic to be diagnosed with hip dysplasia, because he actually hadn't shown any
Yeah, wow.
ill effect, in all that time. Um, and I had him on a few supplements in his food and things like that, because food today doesn't have the same nutritional value as it did back in the day. So I was adding a few different things, and yeah, he was just going so well. So I was able to create a bed that was very much designed around his needs as an aging dog. And with that comes, just like for humans, as you age, yes, you have greater inflammation. Your ability to thermoregulate, so your ability to stay warm. That's why if you go into nursing homes, they've always got the temperature up high. You see the residents in their little
Covered in blankies.
yes, all that. And that happens with our dogs as well. So they do lose a bit of condition. They get bonier, and so the senior bed is designed to help them thermoregulate. So it reaches a little different, slightly higher temperature than the active bed. And that is to meet the need of the senior dog. So to keep that blood circulation optimal, because it slows down as they age, and they need that good circulation for the healing benefits,
Yeah.
as we know.
Hey, hi again. Freya's coming to say hello.
Hey, Freya.
And you've got a Freya too.
I do. I've
Kitty
got a
cat.
beautiful, nearly 15-year-old cat I adopted 2 years ago. Same colouring, actually. So, yeah.
Um,
But
so going back to the senior bedding, so I noticed it says, if I read it correctly on the on your website, which is beautifully designed, by the way, so definitely put the links in. Did I read that there's 2 layers of the
yes,
fibers?
all of our
Okay.
beds have 2 layers.
Okay, so that doesn't differentiate from one bed or another. They all have 2 layers. Right. Okay.
Correct.
But you say they are a little bit thicker, the
They
senior
are. So
ones? Yeah.
The combination of fibers is different in the top layer for the senior bed, and
Right.
that is so we can reach that slightly higher temperature. Now, that temperature is species appropriate, so we may not even feel it. It's sometimes not even
Mm,
detectable.
yeah.
But if you're laying on the bed yourself and trying it out, which a lot of people do, you then can feel the benefit
Yeah.
of that temperature difference. So
Yeah.
it's also designed to be a little softer, not soft, but less firm.
Sure.
Because they are bonier, so they really do look for comfort when they're older. So
Yeah.
it's designed to keep them warm and comfortable.
It's your bed. You have a bed like that. Yeah, we're going to keep you warm
She's
and
in
support
great
your
shape
job.
for her age.
Yeah, she's 12 and a few months, just had a TPLO. Um, yeah, and I think, yeah, exercise and the fact that we've had that bed for years, like, and she gets her supplements. I am really careful in what I feed them. Yeah, so I think all of that, lots of people don't believe that she's 12. And I think that I like to think that, it could be genetics, but hopefully it's also the fact that I've invested so much like time and energy and money into things that will, hopefully get her to be living quite a long, long time still. Yeah, we're talking
There's
about you, sweetheart.
many things that
Yes.
we can do that don't cost money to improve the lives of our pets, like you started with there earlier. It's and a bed is one of those things. It's just that the industry needs to, I feel anyway, it needs to look at what we are offering.
Yeah.
We have a duty of care to these animals because they cannot verbalize
Yeah.
how they're feeling. So if they lay on a bed that's some, memory foam filled bed and it's releasing those vapors and they're inhaling it and they get up in the morning and they've got a headache, that
Mm,
behavior that they express because they're in discomfort quite often can be seen as them misbehaving and it becomes a training issue. That makes me really sad because the
mm,
dog's not a naughty dog, it's not a misbehaving dog, it's a dog that is experiencing discomfort. So
yeah.
for me, I believe that what we provide them needs to be the cleanest and the safest that we can afford. The thing is, though, with an unregulated industry like the pet industry,
Sorry, can you stop? See, only when I'm filming, only when I'm on. Hey, 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 excuse me. Can you just. Oh my gosh. Stop. You's being so silly. Silly. All right, Mummy's got treats. Let's see if this will. Sorry, we're
oh,
almost finished. We're almost
this is
finished.
what it was all about, getting treats.
They just pretend they're like, hey, let's do this, and then she'll give us treats.
Yeah, you're very well trained.
You want to go? Yep, off you go. Um, and you do ship worldwide?
We do. We
Yeah.
do.
And the beds are still handmade?
Yes, they are. They're made here in
Yeah.
Brisbane. They are Australian
Amazing.
made.
Yeah.
We have a little facility where we pump them out. We're not mass produced. Sometimes it can, yeah, we're constantly restocking, yeah, so that uh, when you order, it doesn't take too long to receive the bed. We are undergoing some changes with the fabrics that we offer. So all of our fabrics that make up the cover of the bed and the internal slip cover are all organic or got certified. They're all 100% natural. So from hemp, linen to an organic cotton drill. The cotton drill is fantastic for the active beds for the younger dogs who might like to dig. But having said that, if money permits, hemp is brilliant because they really can't get through the hemp unless they really, really try. And hemp will never wear out. But our covers don't. You've probably seen for yourself. They last a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, like our, the only thing that's failed us now is the zipper. But other than that, like the fabric itself, there's nothing wrong with them. Like, other than maybe a couple of, and they wash really well. I just take them off, put them in the washing machine. And I think that's maybe why I probably should have put them in like delicates bags, but I didn't. And so I think maybe that's why the zipper may have broken. But yeah, like the fabric itself is still in pristine condition. Like it, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it's 4 years old. So I really love that, and I think that's why we need to consider that. You know, the beds are more expensive than the ones in the pet shop, but and of course, like we always need to work within our budget. But I think it's definitely something to consider putting on your wish list, taking your time to save the money, to buy a bed that is going to last a long time and is going to be safe for your dog, and that it's actually going to help your dog have less pain and move better.
100%.
Yeah, so I just wanted to just reiterate that. Like I think like yeah, I think it's just really important that we, make good choices for our dogs. And yeah, it's not, she's going to eat the whole packet at this rate. Um, we need to make good choices for our dogs. And yeah, like, but I want to encourage people, like, I understand financially, with the cost of living, it's hard and we need um, to, to make ends meet whichever way we can. But I think always just, be patient and just slowly save up for something that is so beneficial for your dog. Like that.
100%. And it's we're definitely not the most expensive, that's for sure. And we looked at a scale on the of other beds on the market, and I think we were like fourth or fifth. So there are beds,
Wow.
which really surprises me that foam beds charge so much, because
And they're rubbish.
I think why?
And they're dangerous and they're not therapeutic. Yeah. And again, it's all in the marketing, isn't it? It's all about the words that we use the marketers use to get people to buy things. And it's like, well, we really do need to be so much more aware and doing more research to figure out what it is that we're buying. We're
It's
spending our hard-earned money and we want to make sure that we're spending it in the right place. And I definitely, and I want to just also tell people who are watching, I don't receive any commission off, Stand Beds or Michelle, and I paid for my beds with my own money. I didn't get it as a gift. Like, this is just my way of recommending a product that I love because I can see that my dogs love it. It's nothing, I don't gain anything by sharing this. I just think that, I really would love you to, uh, do more research. I'll include lots of links to Michelle's social media and websites and um, oh, what's that nonsense? She's facing off with her brother. Like, who's going to get the last few
oh
pieces?
dear.
You'll both get it because I love you equally. Share, share. Yeah, so I just wanted to just to mention that as well, that this is just coming from a very genuine place of loving this product. I love that it's handmade. I love that it's locally made for us. It's there's high quality, it's therapeutic, like it ticks all my boxes. And I just really love other people to consider it as well. And yeah, I love that you will ship internationally as well, because like I mentioned before, most of my like the people, my customers, people who buy my programs, or people that are following me on social media, they're all overseas. And definitely, if you have any questions, get in touch with Michelle. She's super receptive and will reply and be super duper helpful. So yeah, thank you, Michelle, so much for your time. I'm so glad that we got this time to chat.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and I think it's amazing that you've got clients who, this is the next phase, I think, that I see for the industry for pet parents, is really, sorting through the jargon that's out there. Don't feel bad, never feel guilty for what we've done in the past, because we do better when we know better. And it
Yep,
is
absolutely.
very, very hard when there's a minefield of, pet beds and other products out there that all make claims. We're legally the only company allowed to use the word therapeutic in our
Yeah,
claims,
awesome.
but
Yeah.
there's many, many others out there who do use it. So, and it's they know that there's a legal process for me to stop that. And
But
do I put
there's
them
really
on?
nothing you can do. But yeah, it's like, then it's going to be Yeah, like people get away with those things. Like my sister and I, we make dog treats. And so that's why I appreciate the handmade, and yeah, like we are more expensive than pet shops, but it's like, but we know exactly what goes into it. We hand slice our meat, we hand bake our biscuits. There's obviously, when things aren't mass produced, you are going to cook them. But the other thing is, I think that, just because something is expensive doesn't mean it's good. But if something is
100%.
good, it's going to be expensive. Like that's just, and it's up to our discernment to do our research to figure out, like really expensive dog food, it's not often the ones that are the best ones for them. But I do buy, expensive dog food because it's good. Does that make sense? Like it's,
It does. I
you
don't necessarily think it's expensive though when it's value. So when I look at pet beds on the market that offer free shipping in the price of the product, there's no such thing as free shipping. Someone's paying for it, but it just means the margin, the cost of making that product and what they're retailing it for is so great that they can afford to cover the shipping. We
yeah,
can't. It's a patented product with I can guarantee you that no one in the industry would pay what I pay for the fabrics just for the covers. It's insane, but
stop, please.
they're the best. So,
Yeah,
and it's not just that they're the best, it's because they're the most beneficial.
yeah,
Again, every element to the bed has got to make a difference for these animals who are relying on us for their health, their well-being, their safety, and so I take that very, very seriously.
yeah.
And
I think it's more, yeah, I say expensive because that it's it what we think is expensive is very value driven.
mm,
It's like I think paying $50 for flowers is expensive and I won't do it because I don't value flowers, but that's just me. Like but whereas I will easily spend $50 on my dog because I value them, you
yes,
know but you get like, yeah, so I don't want to, yeah, like I think that it's worth more in its value, but it is more expensive than like your lower product thing, lower priced inferior product.
yes,
Obviously it's going to be more expensive, but it's not expensive as a whole because I don't think it's expensive because I will pay it because I value it. Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, there's definitely, a ton of value that's, that are in those beds.
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
terrible business model. Like we should have designed the beds to explode, every 2 years.
I do
So that we
self-combust in a year and then just keep getting you. No,
I
but
shouldn't have thought of that.
it can't even self-combust. So there you go. You did yourself.
I know. But it is important though, again, if you're looking at, the economy these days, if you can only afford the active bed for your dog, it's still going to be of benefit when that dog is a senior. It's not
Yeah.
like it stops being beneficial. Or
No.
if you want to go for a senior bed and your dog's not quite there at a senior age, it's going to still benefit even at
Yeah.
the younger age. So, it's there if you can and you want a specific bed for a specific phase of their life, fantastic, go for it. But if you can't afford that, you're not doing a disservice. Your dog is not going to miss out on comfort and safety
Yeah.
and all of those things. So they're all still part of the bed, whichever
Yeah.
one you choose. And
Yeah.
but it's just, yeah, it's definitely the cleanest and safest option on the market, and without doubt the most beneficial. So
And I also just on the last note, because I'm a bit of a science nerd, I want to go just tell me a little bit about the research that is currently, or is it being done or about to be done on your beds?
just spent the last few months preparing for it, so it's been very, very big. This information hasn't been released, so it's between you, me, and your lovely viewers. So
Everyone, keep a secret. Yeah.
keep a secret. But we are actually undergoing testing with about to start the University of Technology in Queensland. And what we will be doing is showing the air quality around our bed compared to other beds on the market.
I think that's brilliant. Like I
Yeah,
really think like, and again, it's something we don't see. We don't know that it's the vapors are there and potentially hazardous. And so the fact that there's scientific research to look into it, I think I love it. I can't wait to
I
to read these papers. I'm super duper
Great.
excited.
The university will be
So,
releasing them. So yeah, I'll be very excited to see that because it's my life's mission. It
yeah.
really is. And I know the day will come that I will pass through Rainbow Bridge and all of these dogs, and cats and
Oh,
whoever else can say to me, I was better
I'm
for
gonna say
having,
thank you. Thank
yeah,
you, Michelle.
sleeping on
That's
your
special.
product. So that's
Yeah. Oh, that is so special. Yeah. That's a beautiful encouragement, I think, when you know why you do your business, like, when you do get that burnout or you're tired or whatever, like it's just, sometimes that encouragement, that why is the power to just keep moving. So that's
absolutely.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Michelle. I have really, really enjoyed our chat, and yeah, sorry for these munchkins.
Oh, what a wonderful guest appearance.
Yeah.
I'm just sorry. My Ally didn't turn up. Ally's 10 and she didn't make an appearance because she had a really bad haircut on Saturday. So I think she's
Oh,
embarrassed. But
oh
another time. Maybe another time. Yes.
All right, Michelle. Well, thank you again, and I look forward to some hopefully really helping other dogs out with your amazing bedding. Thank you.
And keep doing what you're doing. You're making a huge difference as well.
Thank you, Michelle. Bye.
Bye.